Smart new technology for smart homes. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. Joining us is George Yianni, Head of Technology for Philips Hue, part of Signify. Thanks for joining us, George.
Happy to be here.
Well, what we're talking about is something called matter, and this isn't a physics class. So tell us what this is all about.
Yeah, so Matter is the new name of an interoperability standard for the smart home that was started a little more than a year ago by many of the leading companies in the smart home that aims to make interoperability between smart home devices from different brands easier to unlock new opportunities in the smart home.
So Philips Hue has been really a pioneer in this business for many years now. So tell us how this is going to affect your customers and come into play. What does it mean?
Yeah. So with Philips Hue, we have a big portfolio of smart lighting products that we've had in the market for the last 9 years. And a big part of the Philips Hue experience is that we interoperate. We work and we connect with other products in the smart home. And at the moment, most of those connections go via, let's say, proprietary APIs. So APIs owned by one company. We build a dedicated integration with Apple's HomeKit, a dedicated integration with Amazon's Alexa, dedicated integration with Google Assistant, and many more of these examples. And what Matter aims to do is to actually consolidate all of that towards one easy for consumers to use interface. So what it will mean for them is it will become much easier for consumers to know what works with what. There will be a single Matter mark, which gives you this compatibility, and you will get a much more consistent experience for adding devices in these smart home use cases. And the expectation is all of that will allow companies like Philips Hue, Signify, and other players to focus on use cases and less on just making things talk to each other. And so it should really make things easier for consumers and then easier for companies building smart home products.
Now, this concept has been around for a while. I mean, you've had IFTTT, which if this, then that. But that's pretty much for the geeks around us to play with, pretty much anyway. This is really bringing that kind of thinking to the masses.
Yeah, so what it's doing is it's really making one way that products talk to each other, right? And that should give consumers choice to choose. IFTTT is another example of something where we had to build a dedicated integration for. And when you buy a smart home product, you don't know if it works with IFTTT or not. You have to look through a big, long list of compatibility things. And that all becomes one and becomes standardized.
So describe for us what the role at Philips Hue has been in helping to develop this.
Yeah. So Signify is the parent company of Philips Hue. We're actually part of the steering board of Matter. So we are working on defining the standard, bringing our expertise, especially in the lighting domain, to agree, okay, what are the right set of commands and capabilities that you need for lighting and other smart home devices. We are also building it into our products. So we're part of all of the early test events of how these products talk to each other, and in that way developing the standard. And we plan to be one of the early adopters. We hope to be one of the showcase integrations to show off how easy it is to make things work together with Matter.
What about all of the bulbs and devices that are out there today? Is Matter being designed to work with a lot of the smart home gear that's out there?
Yeah, so Matter is a new standard. So not everything will be able to be upgradable to support it. The good news is for Philips Hue, we care really a lot that our existing consumers are not left out in the cold, and that we give them a path towards these future technologies. So what we've been able to do is find a way to support Matter in the Philips Hue bridge, and in that way make all Philips Hue products, even the ones we launched 9 years ago at the beginning, compatible with Matter. And I think this is a great thing you're able to do with Matter with bridges. Other products will support Matter directly in there. And some of those you may be able to software update, but others will need new hardware. So I think it will vary a lot. But with the Philips Hue products, we can make them forwards compatible.
Describe for us why this is needed.
Yeah, this is needed because the smart home has got very complex. There are hundreds of companies building products that talk to each other, and it is impossible for the smart home ecosystems and for the device makers to have a great experience of all of those possible pairwise connections, right? It manages the complexity by making it a standard way that products talk to each other. That's why it's needed. Otherwise, it explodes in complexity.
And it arrives later this year. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, so it's still in active development, right? The standard is not finished yet. There are still lots of difficult discussions we're hammering out between the different smart home companies. The Alliance's goal is to have the standard at a point where products can start supporting it by the end of the year, although it's still very much in flux, but that's the goal.
And some of the companies that are involved with this, are the big names all on board with this?
Yeah, almost all of the major players are involved. So the biggest smart home ecosystems are run by Apple, Amazon, and Google, and they are all on board with supporting Matter in their ecosystems. Yeah, and I think the vast majority of big smart home players making the devices are participating. So yeah, the expectations are very high that this will be successful as becoming a unifying standard.
And is it going to be sort of a Matter-enabled hub that deals with all of this, or instead of having individual devices connected to your Wi-Fi at home, which I guess once you get enough of them, that could be a problem?
Yeah, so Matter supports any IP connection, right? So you will have direct Matter Wi-Fi devices. Those won't go away. But it also supports bridges to other technologies. That's what we would do with Philips Hue and the Zigbee technology that we use. It also supports a low power, low data rate IP radio that's called Thread. It's quite similar to Zigbee, but uses an IP radio. And that will enable you to have this big diversity, for example, battery-powered sensors connected via a Matter edge router into your system.
And will it be a Matter app that we'll have on our devices that will help to control everything, or how is this all going to come together from a consumer perspective?
Yeah, so ideally, consumers have choice of which Matter app they use. At the moment, the major companies which are building, let's say, integrations where they bring multiple verticals together, right? They let you control thermostats and lighting and door locks in one app. Those are what we call the smart home ecosystems. It's companies like Apple, Amazon, Google, right? And they will have apps that support Matter. But the idea is consumers will have choice and they will be able to choose other Matter apps as their primary control interface if they want.
And the value to consumers, why should consumers be excited about this? Tell us what the experience once this is all hammered out might be like.
Yeah, so I mean, the real value is going to be that things become easier and simpler to know what works with what, right? So today, right, if you are buying Philips Hue system, right, and you want to buy a thermostat that works with that is pretty complicated to work out. You have to look at, is Philips Hue interoperable with the integrating system that I want to use, and is that thermostat interoperable? It's very confusing. It's pretty hard to know what works with what in a lot of these cases. You might end up buying something that doesn't work with your other HomeKit devices, for example, because it wasn't clear to you. And what Matter will give you is a simple single thing you can look up, a single mark you can put on the product, like a Wi-Fi or Bluetooth logo. There'll be a Matter logo, and that tells you these two products can work together, right? And then when you get these products back home, you will be able to set those up in a familiar way. It won't be completely different setup experience for the lights than for the thermostat. And all of this makes it easier. Right? So that's the immediate thing you get. And then in the maybe slightly longer term, the knock-on effect of this is companies like me with Philips Hue, we can now focus on building amazing use cases rather than just the plumbing of making things work with each other. And so actually unlocks companies' engineering resources to work on cool use cases for consumers.
That's exciting. If we can make this easier, more usable for people. I mean, Philips Signify has done a great job already making it easy for consumers, but this is just going to broaden the picture, broaden the horizon.
Yeah, we do our best to make it easy, but there are, let's say, limits because we're dependent on other players to make these integrations easier. And now we have a single thing we can work towards with other companies.
Is there a place where people can go to get more information about all of this?
Yes, you can go to www.workswithmatter.com. And there you can find all the latest material about Matter.
And we'll look forward to this arriving later in the year. And I guess finally, you addressed it somewhat. Consumers will want to know, is this going to be a costly development for them? Are they going to be tossing out a lot of stuff that they already have in their homes?
Yeah, so I think it really depends on the approach of the different smart home companies. Like I said with Philips Hue, we're going to make this a free software update to our whole existing portfolio. We are in a position to do that because of the technology choices we've made. Other companies will do the same, and it will be a software update, but the hardware will need to be upgraded. So this may cause some obsolete hardware from some brands. So it depends a bit what you've chosen.
George Yianni, thank you for taking the time with us.
You're welcome.